In ancient times, a woman called Tamar was married off to an evil man with no regard for her well-being. A desperate situation would turn worse and drive Tamar to debase herself more than she could ever imagine during the trials of her wedding feast. Her father-in-law, Judah, blessed the couple. "May you increase to thousands as God has promised my people." Tamar wanted to understand this promise, but her new husband, did not believe the promises. What did know was cruelty and wickedness. And very soon he died. Tamar wondered what would become of her. In these hard times of war and quick death, God's law made provision for a widow to be married to a near relative, so a child could bear the name of the deceased would-be father. In this way, Judah's people were known for taking better care of their widows and orphans. Tamar remained in Judah's house and soon realized she was not pregnant. No child would receive inheritance or his name. This left her with no place to belong in the world, only shame. Tamar gathered her courage to ask Judah to honor his duty to name. Judah told her he'd not always obeyed God, and he imagined God would not choose him to carry on a great family race. Tamar vowed to be part of fulfilling this promise from God. Finally, Judah gave Onan, his next son, the responsibility to bring a child into the world to honor name. Onan was not a cruel man, but he knew that any child would split the inheritance that he felt he deserved. He wanted it all for himself. Judah told him to honor the promises and marry Tamar. Onan would not give Tamar a child. The child she knew would guarantee her a place in the life of the family. Tamar begged him to honor God's promises, or to at least honor his family. Onan would not listen. Tamar was desperate to belong in life, desperate for a place in society and a family with a real God. She wanted to fulfill her vow to build up Judah's people. A terrible thing occurred, and Onan died without honoring his duty to his family to bring his brother's name through a child. And now his own name perished from the family as well. Judah's foreign wife thought Tamar brought a curse. Judah realized there would be no child and wanted rid of Tamar. Rather than release her to marry someone else, he sent Tamar to her father as a widow. He promised to bring her back when the youngest son, Shelah, was older. Years passed. Tamar felt her unwantedness in the house of her father and stepmother. They brought her news that Shelah had grown into a man, and Judah was not sending for her. Tamar tried to hold on to God's promises. She asked her father to speak to Judah on her behalf, but he wouldn't do it. When Judah's wife died, Tamar went to appeal to Judah again to fulfill the promise he made to her and that God required of him. She reminded him that God told his people to care for widows, but he refused to listen. When Judah's time of mourning was past, Tamar heard he was going out to his sheep shearers. She decided to try a desperate plan. Judah passed the day with his friend Hira as they watched the sheep shearing. Hira told Judah he should live again and not worry about his people who were far away. Celebrate the good harvest. Judah saw a prostitute by the side of the road. This was strange because she was not in the temples where the foreign people often celebrated fertility with prostitutes. Judah negotiated with her, and she asked for his walking staff and family seal until he would send a promised goat. Later, Judah asked his friend to take the goat. Hira reported no prostitute had been seen by anyone in the area. Judah wanted his things. Hira said, "Give it up or we'll be laughingstocks." Tamar's trick worked, and she was expecting a child. But the seriousness of the situation caught up to her now. Rumors reached Judah. He was outraged. He rushed to her house and called for her to be brought out and burned. She had dishonored the family. Tamar recognized this trick of hers had spun out of her control. She told God that she and the child she carried belonged to God. She struggled to reach Judah's hidden belongings that she had kept for this moment. She humbly presented the staff and the seal. These are from the man whose child I carry. She didn't accuse Judah, but put herself at his mercy. This shocking turn of events brought Judah to a place of humility too. He vowed to take Tamar into his home, but that he would never touch her again. She would have a place to belong, a family. Tamar gave birth to twins. Perhaps God gave back the name of the two perished sons through this double birth. What Tamar didn't yet know was it was also a place in God's kingdom. She and Judah joined his people in another country. Judah received the blessing from his dying father that a king would come from this unlikely union between Tamar and Judah. They were chosen not because they were perfect, but because God wanted to show his grace is for imperfect people. The kingly line would step down through the ages to Jesus Christ. He was not ashamed of ancestors who were imperfect. It's not in the merits of the ancestors that we find hope, but in a perfect Christ paying with his blood for the wrongs of the world and giving us a new start. Judah drove Tamar to an act of prostitution, but Christ said in Matthew 21, prostitutes and sinners will enter the kingdom of God for turning to God more than the religious hypocrites. Will you enter the kingdom with Jesus in humility or stay outside a hypocrite?